What did I read in the month of September? Hi friends, welcome back to Pages and Chaos, and here is my Series September wrap-up. So I participated in Series September, which was hosted by Krista at Books and Jams and Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand, and they posted a bingo board with all these different prompts, and this year they based the prompts off of genres, and we can interpret them however we like, or we can just try to fulfill the prompts based on the genres that we read. And here is the bingo board that I ended up with. So I did get one bingo, and I did actually close out 2 series, so I was very happy about that. I also did read a book that wasn't part of Series September. I'm not going to share too much about that one with you because that is for another project. But I will share all of my ratings and thoughts on the books that I read for Series September. So the first book I picked up was A Call For Kelp, and this is a series that I've been unofficially buddy reading in the Comfy Cozy Book Club. So if you've been following along, you know that we are doing this together, and each month we have a book from the series that we are tackling. So I gave this one 4 stars. I so far haven't found one in this series that I have not enjoyed. I mean, the antics that Everly keeps getting into, the tension between her and Grady, I mean, it's just a whole package. And I really enjoyed this series, and I can't wait to continue and finish out the Seaside Cafe series. So the next book that I picked up was this graphic novel, The Tea Dragon Society. This was actually a book that was gifted to me off of my wish list by Katie, and I absolutely loved this. So this is the first in the series, and this graphic novel was just so beautifully illustrated. I mean, 5 stars is an understatement for this story. I mean, I wish that tea dragons were a real thing. I mean, it's just so adorable. And then in the back, it goes through like all of the tea dragon handbook and the information about it. So this is just so adorable. This was about Greta, who discovers tea dragons in the market one place, and she winds up meeting a tea dragon handler, and they form the Tea Dragon Society because the tea dragons are actually a dying art form, and so she is taught all about how to keep that alive and to really keep that going. And she gets her own tea dragon. I mean, it's just so beautifully written, and I can't wait to pick up the second in the series. The next book that I picked up was the second book in the Amari series, and that's Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston, and I gave this one 4 stars. This one actually turned out to be an unofficial buddy read with Krista. We figured out on one of her live sprints that we were both reading it at the same time, and we decided to share our thoughts with each other on Voxer, and we had a lot of similar thoughts, and I think we both really enjoyed this. So I gave this one 4 stars. I really liked the first one so much. I gave the first one 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one too. Probably not as much as the first one, but it was still such a great read, and I can't wait to finish the series. So this is about Amari, who figures out that she has these magical powers, and she gets invited to go to this summer camp where all these different people with all these different magical abilities get to learn about their craft and hone in on it, and become junior agents and things like that. But her magical ability, so she is a magician, which is a very dangerous craft to have. A lot of people have a lot of discriminatory thoughts, and the things that poor Amari goes through, being labeled a magician, is just so sad and so heartbreaking. But of course, she's going to overcome this, and she's going to make her way through. So I really enjoy this series. I believe this started off as a trilogy, and I just read recently a blog post by B.B. Alston that he did add 2 more. So he's currently writing 4 and 5, which should be released soon, according to him. So I'm excited to continue this series and finish this out. The next book that I picked up was The Odd Sisters, and this is part of the Villains series. So it's all about the villain origin stories from all of the Disney fairy tales and the Disney movies. And I liked where this started, and I'm finding that the deeper I go into this series, the more confused I am, the more I'm Like, I enjoy it, it's okay, but I'm not liking it as much as when I started. It seems like the focus is less and less on the villain origin stories, and now we're focusing more on these three witches, these odd sisters, which isn't a bad thing because I like that they're taking this and they're putting a different spin on it. I always love a good fractured fairy tale. One of my favorite shows was Once Upon a Time on ABC. I love that show. I watched that on repeat. So I kind of was expecting similar feels to that with this series. I'm hoping that maybe after this book, this series will continue to pick up. But I gave The Odd Sisters 3 stars. So I am going to still continue to pick up the series and try to finish this out. I just hope that it doesn't continue to go down and that it'll start going back up to like these 4 stars that I started off with. Next up is Well Traveled by Jen DeLuca, and I finished this companion series. This was the 4th in the Well Met series. So it started with, I always get it confused. It was Well Met, Well Played, Well Matched, and then Well Traveled. Yes. So Well Met was the first in the series. I absolutely loved that one. That was the start off. It was a Ren fair. You know, one day I want to go to a Ren fair just because of what I read in this book. So this one, Well Traveled, I gave 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. So this is about Lulu, who is the cousin of one of the main characters in the books so far. And she meets, of course, her love interest. And she figures out her life and how her life is going to fit in with this Ren Fair life that she has now discovered. After visiting her cousin who is in this small town Ren Fair. I really, really, really enjoyed this. So I did not think I was going to enjoy this as much because a lot of the reviews said that this was not as good as the others. I disagree. So if I had to put them in order of how I enjoyed them, I definitely would say Well Met, which was the first one, is my first favorite. This is my second favorite, Well Traveled. Really, really enjoyed this. And then Well Matched and Well Played would be the last on my list. So I think this one was just so adorable, and I kind of wish there was more in the series. I didn't want it to end, so I don't know, maybe Jen DeLuca will pick up with the series and do another book, hopefully. And the last book that I completed for series September was Cherry Pie or Die, and that was our September book club read for the Comfy Cozy Book Club. I really, really enjoyed this one. It was adorable. I mean, the lead up to finding out who the killer was, I think it was done pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, I guessed who the killer was early on. Obviously not the reasons why, but this I think is the first time like ever, with the exception of one other book because it was a very obvious trope, that I guessed who the killer was. And I guessed it by complete accident. Like just kind of some of the things that were happening early on in the book, and I'm like, ooh, that person is just too suspicious. Like it's almost like it was overly suspicious, maybe on purpose. I don't know. But I really liked the aspect of the old museum and the history behind it, and the whole history behind the whole small town. Like that just pulled me in. It was really great. There's this grumpy old neighbor who I mean, like, just so endearing. And there's like a whole family treasure involved. It was just really, really cute. So I think I'm going to pick up the next book in this series as well. And I gave this one 4 stars. Now, I did read one more book in September. I'm not going to share any information on this with you because this is for another project. But The Only Plane in the Sky is an oral history about 9/11. And I tandem read this. So I listened on audio and I read it because there's a lot of images and things in this. But this one was also completed in September. And there'll be a later video with my ratings and my thoughts on this. Those were all the books that I read in September. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these, if you enjoyed any of these, or if any of these jump out at you as something as you would like to pick up. And let me know what you think of them if you do. Bye for now.